Welcome. My name is Chris.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tanisha.
All right. And now I get to disappear and let Tanisha show you a bunch of cool stuff. So Tanisha, take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's version of Tech Topics. As a lot of you may know, and for you who may not know, this is a weekly program. It's a little bite-sized, quick 10, 15-minute program where we talk about a different topic that has to do somehow with technology. So this week, we are talking about photo editing apps. So let's go ahead and dive right into our content. I'm going to go ahead and hide myself so we can learn a little bit about photo editing apps. Okay, so as a lot of you know, at the beginning, I always like to do a quick resource or book shout out. Today, I am talking about one of our lovely library resources, lynda.com, which will soon be known as LinkedIn Learning. It is free with your library card, so you can access it through the library's website. And a class that I found that may be useful for you if you are interested in learning a little bit more about photo editing is simple photo edits on your phone. So this one covers just like really simple ways that you can, edit and make some high quality photos using your smartphone. So, photo editing apps. Why do you even need this? I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about photo editing apps. You know about Instagram or Snapchat or like all the different filters and things that you can put on selfies or photos. These are probably terms that you're either very familiar with or you already know about, but you may be asking yourself, like, why are we even doing this class this afternoon? Why do I even need a photo editing app? So the reality is you already have one. If you have a smartphone, you already have a photo editing app. So smartphones nowadays have very, very good cameras on them. And with that functionality of being able to take these really high quality photos with your phone, a lot of these phones have the editing software built in. So you can go to your Photos app, like I have an iPhone, for instance, and I can go to the Photos app on my iPhone and I can edit my photo, so I can take the picture and immediately edit it. So it's something that you already have. So if it's a tool you already have, it might be nice to learn a little bit more about it. They give you the ability to turn, your photos that might be okay into these beautiful frameable works of art. So you can take that really what you may have thought was an awful photo, add a filter, crop it a little bit, do a little bit of color correction, and then make it into something really awesome. They also give you the ability to turn a passing interest into a fun hobby. Just talking with some of my friends in the past few weeks, a lot of them who were never interested in photography, all of a sudden, turned their little, oh, this picture I took, oh, let me put this filter on it. Let me, mess around with the colors a little bit. And they were able to turn this, passing interest into a hobby. So it's something fun to do. Like maybe, especially with a lot of us maybe spending a little bit more time outdoors than indoors. You could be taking a nature walk and you decide, hey, I took some really cool photos of nature. Let me mess around with them a little bit and see what I can do. So how do they work? So all photo editing apps will include the basics. So they will give you the ability to edit, do basic editing. So like cropping your photos. They'll give you the option to do some color correction. They will also allow you to change the aspect ratio. We're going to take a look at a photo editing app here in a minute, so these terms will make a lot more sense here in a minute. So almost all photo editing apps have these abilities. So of course, depending on what app you use, you're going to have more functionality. So maybe that the photo editing app on your smartphone will have these basic ones, versus a paid app that may have way more functionality in what you're able to do with your photos. You can also sync photos taken on a mobile device to cloud storage, and you can create custom photo albums and slideshows. So a lot of photo editing apps will, especially Google Photos, which is the one we're going to take a look at this afternoon, will give you the ability to create a photo album. So like if you went on vacation and you wanted to put all of your vacation albums into one place, you could do that. Or if you wanted to, if you have like a Zoom party with your family or your friends, and you wanted to show somebody, show your friends a slideshow of your last vacation, then you can, make a slideshow. You can even put, some will allow you to even put it to music. They'll do all kinds of really fun stuff like that. And this is what I really like the most about photo editing apps, is that a lot of them are beginner friendly. So you do not have to be, super duper tech savvy to use them. So a great example of that is, I am gonna, shout out my mom here a little bit. My mother isn't a very tech person, but she loves to take photos, and she is able to use photo editing apps to, add filters to, oh, I want to crop, there's some crying child in the background. I want to crop that kid out so it's not in my pictures, things like that. So my not very tech savvy mother is able to use photo editing apps to enhance her pictures. So the barrier to entry on photo editing apps is pretty low. So it's really easy for everybody to use. And on the flip of that, if you are more tech savvy, depending on the app that you use, some of them have more functionality. So that'll allow you to play around with some of the settings, some of the different editing tools, and enhance your knowledge a little bit more as well. So let's take a look at a photo editing app. So today we are going to look at Google Photos. So that's where I'm in right now. And let's choose a photo to edit. So I know that I'm using Google Photos in a browser and not on a phone, but it looks pretty much the same. So if you were doing this on a phone or a tablet, like the functions would be exactly the same. The placement might be a little bit different, but the icons, like the icons you see right up in the upper right hand corner here, those will all be the same. So it may look a little different on a mobile device, but everything is the same. So this is a picture that I took earlier today. And so as you can see, I kind of took it at an angle. There may be some things there, like my dirty patio, some things that I may want to cut out. So let's take a look at some of the tools that I could use to edit it. So right now, I'm just going to click on Edit. First thing that comes up on the right-hand side are all the filters that I could use. So right now, this is just the way the picture as I took it. So I could use a filter that makes it a little bit brighter. Yep, that brings out some more of that green, that lushness, one that makes a little bit more brown. I can even go a little bit black and white there. There's like a sepia one, I think, that might be on there. But for our purposes here, I am going to turn this picture into black and white. Let's see, it's also taken at an angle. So I am going to change that angle a little bit. But before I do that, I am going to crop it because I want to cut some of this out. So you can see here, all I'm doing is taking my mouse and dragging it down a little bit. Just cropping this photo a little bit because I decided I want to keep most of my patio out. So let's just crop it, bring it in. All right, and so now I got my black and white photos focusing on the plants there. So now on the right-hand side, you can see here where you have the degrees, I can also rotate, change that aspect a little bit and make it stand up a little, or make it a little bit more even. So I'm going to, you can see you can do a lot with that. I'm going to play around with this a little bit here. Just turn it, make it more horizontal. So there we go. And then I can change what part of the picture I want here. And bam, there we go. So I turned my patio picture into what may look like just a picture, out in the woods or in the swamp somewhere. So I could cut that picture that I just took on my patio and make it look like, I was walking in the woods in like another state somewhere. So to give you an idea of the functionality that you have with a photo editing app, and this is just a very simple free, Google Photos is free, super simple photo editing. I just did a couple of things to change that picture around a little bit. So this slide that I'm about to show you here, we have provided here some recommendations for some apps that may be of use for you. So I consulted with, I looked at some pretty reputable sources on the internet and also consulted with some friends to see what photo apps that they use. Most of these are free, or the ones that are, I think all of them, yes, everyone that I picked is free. Some of them have paid options. So for example, Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop Express, to get the full functionality, you may have to pay, but you can get some basic functionality for free. So those are some recommendations. And again, all of these are available as a handout. So go ahead and before we end in a few minutes here, make sure that you download that, because those are the recommendations that we have for you. And I'm go ahead and put up our last screen before we go to questions. So Chris, I'm going to welcome you, and I'm going to go back on to see if we have any questions from our wonderful audience this afternoon.
All right, like Tanisha just said, it's time for questions. So feel free to post your questions in the questions section, and we will do our best to get you some answers. We do have a few here. Someone wants to know, do any of these apps or all of these apps require you to be connected to Wi-Fi or a data plan to use them?
So, no. So to upload them, yes and no. Let me rephrase that. Yes and no. So to just use it, no. So to do the basic editing that I just did, all of that, you do not need to be connected to the internet. However, to upload, unless you have auto sync with the app. So for instance, with Google Photos, all of my photos that I take on my smartphone automatically upload to my Google Photos. If that's not the case, you do need to be connected to either your cellular plan or your Wi-Fi to upload them. But once the pictures are in the app, then you don't need Wi-Fi. You can just use the stuff. You can just use the software to edit it. Now, if you want to sync to the cloud, of course, you need to be connected to the internet. And if you want to share your photos, you need to be as well.
Let's see. All right. Someone wants to know, can I undo the changes if I make a mistake?
Yes, absolutely. You can absolutely undo the changes. Not only that, when you are editing photos, most photo editing tools will allow you to keep the original and then create a copy of the photo that you're editing. So for instance, with that photo, let me get out of here. With that photo that I just edited, that should be a copy of the original photo.
Oh, yes.
So let's see here. Let me get out of it, or maybe not, but it should let you create a copy if you want. Let's see if it lets me. Oh, download. I think I know what you mean. So yeah, I can go back and get the original.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So there's always the original and then the one that you edited.
Okay. All right, let's see. Someone wants to know if Google Photos offer, I guess you see a lot of these 3D photos now. Do they offer any sort of 3D photo conversion tool?
I don't think so. I think the Apple Photos one does, but I don't think that Google Photos does, but I may be wrong about that.
Some of them may offer that, some may not. Okay. And let's see. Oh, okay. So someone is asking about, I guess it's maybe a privacy concern. I'm not sure. If you can clarify, you can let us know. But are there any apps that allow you to edit the metadata on the photos? Some of that behind the scenes information?
That is a great question that I do not have the answer for right off the top of my head. I can't think off the top of my head of like the basic ones do. I would have to consult with some of my some of my photographer friends to see if you're able to. You do have access to the metadata for my privacy purposes. I'm not going to click on the tab. Like I can show you which one it is. I'm not going to click on it because, this is a personal photo that I took, but this little info button there with the little eye on it, that's where I would find the metadata for my photo. When I looked at that earlier, at least in Google Photos, I don't know if this is the case otherwise. When I looked at it in Google Photos, it didn't give me the option to edit it. Like,
I see.
That information was just there and I couldn't do anything with it.
Okay. Interesting. All right, looks like we have time for one more question. There's one that just came in. Someone is referencing your comment about auto syncing photos. They want to know, does your edited photo also auto sync? Is that automatic?
Well, let's find out. So I am going to log on to I'm going to log on to that same app on my phone. So that's what I'm doing right now. Because I have Google Photos on my phone as well. So let's see if it auto saved the version that I just made or auto synced it. I see the original. Let me try coming out of it, make sure, because it might take a minute. Let me come out of that. So it looks like, at least as of right now, I'm not sure how often it auto syncs, but at least right now, in the few minutes that we've been on the program, it has not added to my Google Photos, like it hasn't auto synced onto my other devices yet. But it may be that in an hour when I check, it's on there now. So it looks like it hasn't yet.
One question just rolled in, and then
well, you can also you can sync anytime. So you can press sync photos and it'll upload everything to you that way as well.
Okay. All right. One more question, and then we do have to wrap it up. Someone wants to know, what is metadata? Since that other question brought it up.
All right. So that's a good question to end on. So last question of the day. Metadata is the information it's basically like the background information on every photo you take. So that's the location. It's the type of device that you use, the time you took it, the time zone, and a couple of other little things there. So it's that background data that's built into every photo. So to basically verify like where the photo was taken, if it's an actual photo, make sure it's not doctored, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
All right.
All right. Well, that was wonderful. And thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you for being here this evening. If you want to contact the library, you can go online at hcplc.org/contact. And you can also go to our website and see what events we have coming up at hcplc.org/events. And we'll mention again in the chat section, there is a link we posted for next week's tech topics. If you want to, you can click on that now and it will take you right to the registration page. And next week's topic is the Internet of Things. Is that right, Tanisha?
That's right. We're talking about the Internet of Things next week.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tanisha. That was very cool. And have a great night. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Everyone.